especially particular emphasis on the BRICS grouping and how it can, help grow south-to-south trade. I don't know if my accent is clear for you to understand what I'm saying.
So it's clear.
Yes, sir.
It's
Clear,
clear.
sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
so my
sir.
presentation basically has 5 sections. And the way this presentation has been done is for, I know most of you are doing management. You've done probably economic courses, and it's not everybody who knows where Zambia is and how the economy is. So I'm speaking to you as prospective students and just as students and just other people that might be interested to understand Zambia's economy, the opportunities that lie around Zambia, and then zero it down to speak about the role between the role of China, India, and Zambia's trade. So my first section is the introduction. Then I'm going to give you some indicators of demographics in Zambia, education statistics, then mention about our agriculture. Agriculture remains an important sector for Zambia's economic development agenda. Then I'll talk about livestock statistics and discuss economic statistics. Then finally zero it down to Indo-Zambia trade. So Zambia, remains one of the most attractive tourist and investment destination around the world. Zambia's population, unlike China's and India's, is very small, 18 million, just 8 million people, and the size is basically also very small. And but despite the size of Zambia as compared to India's, Zambia is a major producer of various mineral resources that include gold, copper, cobalt, and other minerals. In terms of copper, we are in the top 5 copper producers, and emeralds we stand at number 1. And one thing I can tell you is that our emerald trade is controlled predominantly by business people of Indian origin. In terms of the mining sector, you find that we have players mining in Zambia from India, and of course you have heard about Vedanta. That unfortunately has a dispute with the Zambian government over mining issues. Zambia has 60% of Southern Africa's freshwater resources, fertile land, and remains attractive for agriculture investments. The main aim of this paper basically is to speak about the performance of Zambia's economy, talk about the recent economic development trends on FDI, especially, and also to discuss Zambia, Indo-Zambia copper trade. Because Zambia and India have very strong ties, and India remains, as you are going to see further, India has a huge stake in Zambia's economy. When you look at the demographics, the current population is about 18 million. Now, this graph is basically to show you the rate at which our, population is growing. In 2014, we were 14 million. 2017, their population grew to 16.4. And today, 2022, we are currently at 18 million citizens. So our population is also growing. And this population growth translates into the demand for new jobs, new growth of food, and so on and so forth. As compared to India, these are laughing figures, but for a country like Zambia, this is a very huge population looking at our GDP. When you look at our education, I come from the University of Zambia. We have various universities. We have the largest one, University of Zambia, Mulungushi University, Zambia Open, Copperbelt University, and so on and so forth. I would like to tell you that since independence, Zambia had one university, and in 1981 added another university. We had two universities, and from 1989 to 2008, we only had two universities. A third one was added, which is Mulungushi University, and from there on, the government has come on to build 7 other universities and liberalize the education sector to allow for private universities. We have Indian universities also operating on the market, like Amity University, if you have heard about that university. And of course, we want to foster strong ties with with your university. In terms of agriculture, we predominantly have a staple food. In India, I would like to believe that your staple food should be rice, and you eat a lot of naan, garlic naan and butter naan. But for Zambia, we have a thick porridge, which we make from maize flour. So maize remains one of the most important crop because it's a staple food. We make what's known as shima in Zambia, and if you look at how much we grow for a population of 18 million, we do 1.4, 1.6 million tons, somewhere there. This is enough for to be self-sustaining. Basically, we have things like cotton, sunflower, groundnuts, tobacco, rice, and also other produce. The major problem that we are going to face in Africa is that of a growing population and the lack of interest in the agriculture sector. So the agriculture sector remains very important sector, especially for those of you that are going to be working in this sector when you graduate from the university. These are potential areas to look at in terms of diversification, depending on the companies that you are going to be working for. When you look at livestock, cattle, basically we have over 5 million cattle. We have goats, pigs, sheep, and for some reason we have a lot of dogs versus, for example, sheep, which non-vegetarians consume. And when you look at a population of 18 million, you are going to find that our livestock numbers are not that good. For example, in Botswana, they have a population of about 2 million, but they have more animals than the entire population. And because of that, they're a major exporter. Their markets are even open to Europe. GDP figures that I have are a bit odd, but for you just to know, our current GDP, that's the way it has been growing. In 2014, you can see there was $27 billion worth of GDP. 2015, 21, 2016, 20, and as I'm speaking, our GDP is somewhere around 25 billion. The reason why you have seen a downside in terms of the GDP is because of the global climate that we had in Africa. We had severe droughts, and 80% of our workforce is engaged in the agriculture sector, and much of our economy depends on electricity that is generated from hydroelectric power stations. So we had to even experience a lot of droughts and what, and when you're looking at the way the world is positioned, such projects are supposed to be funded by, for example, Bretton Woods institutions, the World Bank and the IMF that comes in when a country is in distress. And when you're looking at, for example, what resources we have been receiving from these institutions, it has been very minimal. And for us to sort out these problems, you'll be very shocked that we engaged Tata, which is from India. They are doing a hydropower station in collaboration with our ZESCO electric company here. We also engaged the Chinese investors that also invested alongside the Zambian government. And we have a coal plant that was built in 2014, predominantly by Indian businesses, that is supplying 300 megawatts to the Zambian government. So just for you to understand the role of India in Zambia's economic development agenda. Because our GDP has been falling, of course, our GDP per capita has also been dwindling from 1,800 to 1,300, but we are classified as a middle income country. By sector, if you can see, the largest sector in GDP, 22% is wholesale and retail. And I would like to tell you that this sector is dominated above all by businesses of Indian origin. These business people, and much of them are Zambian citizens. They came before independence, and they own predominantly wholesale and retail trade. There's what we call in a central business district and the second-class trading area. In the CBD, you find a lot of banks, and in the second-class trading area, that's where you find the wholesales, retail shops, and all those things. You find that 80% of the shops that are operating in that area are owned by Zambians of Indian origin. When it comes to from wholesale, we have mining and quarrying. Also in this sector, we have a huge presence of, we have a huge presence of businessmen of Indian origin. So when you look at this entire GDP, you find that what drives us mostly is mining and quarrying, agriculture, construction sector, and wholesale. In terms of inflation rates, our inflation has been growing drastically. The last this data presents 2017 as 7.5. As of today, our inflation rate stands at 14%. So it has been fluctuating. Our inflation rate has been moving year by year from 21. It fluctuates down to 9. Again, it moves up, and this this inflation moves with rainfall pattern, because when you look at Zambia, agriculture sector is a major driver. The mining industry, and the mining industry needs electricity, and when there's a drought, so both the agriculture sector, the mining sector suffers, and that pushes inflation up high. Why mining sector suffers is because the mining industry consumes 60% of the electricity produced in Zambia, and that electricity comes from hydroelectric power stations. So when there's a drought, there's reduced production of electricity, and then that translates into a reduced production of mineral resources. And also the agriculture sector, we have rain-fed agriculture mostly. We depend on rain, and when there's a drought, we have those effects. Zambia always has a negative trade balance, but I would like to announce that with the coming up of COVID-19, Zambia has consistently recorded a balance of current accounts or post-surplus trade balance because of reduced trade with other countries. Electricity generation, as I said, the capacity in 2014, for example, we only had 3.4 million megawatts per hour. And in the first quarter, and basically the picture has remained the same. And if we are doing 14 million in 2017, it was 14 million. But today, I would like to announce that we have two major hydropower stations that have been added on, and it has moved our capacity from producing 1,800 megawatts to 2,800 megawatts. Who are our trading partners? Zambia, Switzerland is number one, followed by China, Congo, South Africa, and India ranks at number 12. But I would like to tell you one thing, that even if Switzerland ranks number one, this shows you the tax avoidance that is happening in Zambia's economy. So most foreign companies are registered in Switzerland. So when they sell, for example, copper and cobalt and other minerals, they'll sell them to Switzerland, money is shipped to Switzerland, but the actual minerals won't go to Switzerland, they'll go, for example, to China. So Switzerland is appearing here, not because products from Zambia actually go there, because this is some form of offshore zone that our investors are using to manipulate the system. Are you still there, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Where do we get our imports?
Answer
From?
the query.
Yes. First is South Africa. You know South Africa is in the... Hello? You have a question?
No, sir. Please continue.
Yeah, so you look at South Africa. South Africa is a major giant in Africa. It was the largest economy until Nigeria took over last year, but it's our major trade partner. India in this ranking is at number 6. So we import, in terms of importations, India ranks number 6. What do we import from India? We import everything. Vehicles, motorcycles, building materials, you name it, everything, clothes, and other things. So if you come, for example, to Zambia, you are going to find boutiques with exclusively Chinese, Indian clothes, for example. So machinery, food, and everything is brought from India. Copper prices, they had been falling, but now they are trading about over $9,000 US. This is just to show you the cost of our major exports. When you look at the concentration of the working population, you find that much of our people, we have a total working population of about 9 million citizens. So we are relatively a young country. The majority don't work. And the concentration mostly is in rural areas. And what they do in the rural areas is that they do agriculture. Unemployment rate, Zambia has 10 provinces. In Zambia total, we have about 12.6% unemployment rate. And basically that is the distribution by province. If you want to come and do business, they call us the dark continent, but Zambia remains a relatively peaceful country. We are ranked number 87 out of 190 countries on the index of the ease of doing business. Global Peace Index in Africa, we rank number 8, and the global ranking number 48. So we are a relatively peaceful country. The trade between Zambia and India is about $5 billion US. The major investments that we have is a bank called Indo-Zambia Bank. Indo-Zambia Bank is a giant in Zambia's financial sector, and it was opened by the Bank of Baroda. I'm sure you know such a bank. I don't know if it exists, but the Bank of Baroda.
We know, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The Bank of Baroda and the Zambian government, they opened a bank called Indo-Zambia Bank. It's in the top 10 largest banks in Zambia. We also have Tata producing machinery here, and we have Vedanta and so on and so forth. So history of investments into the mining industry, for example, we had the first Indian company to come to Zambia was a company called Binani Group of Companies. They bought Wansha copper mines when we were under privatization, and also Vedanta bought KCM. In terms of value addition, we have on copper, we have a company that recently opened 4 years ago called Nilkanth Cables. It's also owned by business people of Indian origin. Then we have a huge presence of Indian community, which is socially and economically integrated, and that makes it very easy for Indian investments to prosper. We have, Taj Pamodzi Hotel, Sarova Hotel. These are the largest hotels in Zambia that are owned by businesses from India. And we have Indian restaurants, and for those who want, for example, you wouldn't even miss living in India, because you are going to find all those scattered across each and every district in this country. The ties, or the reason why this is because of the historical ties between our first president, Kenneth Kaunda, and Mahatma Gandhi. They practiced the same type of struggle against independence, and when Zambia became independent, there was a huge exchange. And I'm sure you know the current vice president. She came with her grandparents from India to Zambia. They were diplomats in Zambia. She was living here in Lusaka. That is basically to show you how. So when you look at basically India, it's prehistoric, the way the British colonized us and moved us. Now, when it comes to today's geopolitics, you will find that when Zambia, Africa, and in particular Southern African countries are lacking in terms of economic development due to lack of infrastructure. And the politics of the Bretton Woods institutions are such that they do not want to see a developed Africa. They do not want to see an Africa that is self-sufficient, and they don't really want to see South trade. But with partners such as Zambia, for example, the Indian government gave us close to $300 million to do the Lusaka Road network expansion. So if those of you that know Delhi very much, will see those flyover bridges. You'll find identical ones that have been built in the past 2 years in Lusaka. The last time I was in India was in 2019, and I came with the former president of the Republic of Zambia as an official delegate to tour India. So I know India very well, and I've seen the similarities between the two countries. And that is where now the opportunity lies. So India, in our own opinion, should strongly use its position in BRICS, that is Brazil, India, Russia, China, South Africa, that grouping, the BRICS Bank, as an alternative to the IMF in terms of funding development and developing South-South trade in the world. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. In Russia, we say spasiba большое.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any questions?
Thank you, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Yes.
Thank
Good afternoon, Professor Lovinda.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. And now that session is open, and if there are any questions from the participant side, they can ask to Professor, who is genuinely giving his valuable insight about India and Zambian trade. Anybody from the audience? Okay. One of my query is, sir, in near future, what do you see the possibility of cooperation between India and Zambia in higher education sector?
Well, I think that the cooperation between India and China in the higher education sector is forever increasing. And you know that India harbors a very well-developed, e-learning system. I know in India, it's not e-learning is not really cherished, but COVID has shown that we need to integrate. And because we have agreed as a world to be able to do business online, I think that cooperation is even going to grow far much bigger. And we are not, I think in terms of, for example, the University of Zambia, we're not limiting our cooperation to, for example, online lectures, but we also will be doing physical visits for each other, mutual research, trade, and also trying to find solutions to issues that are common towards our development agenda.
Okay. Chaube sir is there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. Himagni, Chaube sir is there?
Sir, I guess there was some network problem. Sir has left.
Okay. We also welcome our two professor colleagues, Professor Narendra Shukla ji and Professor Atul Dubey ji and the other faculties. So it was very academic and very historical presentation what you have given, sir. And in the near future, what Zambia is looking from India to, and what Zambia can help in terms of exchange of higher educational tie-ups.
I think that Zambia sees opportunities in India in terms of research and development, economic trade, and just tackling issues that a much more developed country like India can understand, issues that developing countries like Zambia are facing. It's easier for India to understand Zambia than, for example, the United Kingdom to understand Zambia.
Professor Narendra Shukla ji, Professor Atul Dubey ji, you want to say a few things? नरेंद्र शुक्ला सर, वॉइस आ रही है आपको? Okay. Any query from the students? Yeah, नरेंद्र शुक्ला सर, वॉइस आ रही है? Okay. Any query from the participants? Okay. Fine. Sir, it is very much pleasure for this short-term notice lecture, and you have given your valuable time, and we hope this cooperation will be continue. So we are very much thankful to you for given this opportunity to our students and faculty. Hopefully, we will keep on organizing at a suitable time with your convenience and our suitability. And I hope you must have also liked to like enjoying with our students' address.
Thank you very much. It will be a pleasure. We shall organize also a lecture for you with our students.
Right. Okay. Thank you, sir. Looking for next suitable time very soon, and this cooperation will continue as with our MOU situation. Right, sir?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. Welcome. So thanks to all participants. Thanks to Professor Atul Dubeji and my Naren Shuklaji and all other faculty colleagues and students.
सर
Yeah.
आपकी आवाज मुझे अब सुनाई दे रही है, आपने शायद मेरे को बताया कि
नहीं कुछ हमारे
क्वेरी के लिए आप बोल रहे थे।
हाँ, मैं बस ये कह रहा था, प्रोफेसर लोवेंडा है जाम्बिया से, आप दो शब्द अगर बोलना चाहें विद दिस थिंग, या वो टाइम में पर
सर माय क्वेश्चन अबाउट माइनिंग सेक्टर. We know that Zambia with its rich natural resources has become an important destination for Indian investment particularly. So what about this? What about that?
So, sir, good afternoon. But sir, as I can see, sir has left now. Luvinda sir has left the meeting.
Okay.
Ji.
Okay. So we have requested, and we'll be able to do it with much better coordination so that there can be much communication. Anyhow, that was a attempt to bring the Jabalpur RDBV at the globe. So I'm thankful for all the faculty participants and the students and my colleagues Rajni Madam, Sharadji, Bhupenji for joining this. This is one effort. Thank you very much, Shukla sir, Dubey sir. My voice is coming, Mangini.
Yes, sir, your voice is
arranging-
clear.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ati sir. Thank you, sir.
So,
Right.
thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
कैसी रही आपकी क्लास? कैसी रही आपकी क्लास?